Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where I just threw away an entire episode on this because I was running into some significant issues. We were having issues where it was just refusing to point the direction it was told to point, and I have no idea why. I was able to fix it kind of through reloading and through changing which parts were selected, but it was really insane. So we're going to warp ahead past this warp, actually. And we're going to target this closest approach up here. So I want to bring ourselves in over this way or so. And we're going to dial this in a little bit. So we're going to need to be in target mode. And I want to turn SAS on, and hopefully, now that I've reloaded the game, we're not going to have those issues. So this is 800 meters per second apart. We need to go over to the retrograde side. Okay, we're overshooting this a little bit. That's to be expected. Okay, so this is anti-target here, and this is target retrograde. So we need to push these a bit together. About like this. And we'll just dial in this closest approach a bit. Okay, we need to move ourselves over here. There's anti-target. Okay. Cool. So we're just going to park about here or so for right now. And we're just working on getting this relative speed down and this closest approach down. Cool. So that's still not going to be all that close, but it's somewhat better. So let's warp in a little closer here and see what this ends up looking like. Yeah, you can see just how much this drifted. The anti-target node is still here, but we definitely need to dial this in a little bit. So we're just going to position ourselves about here. There we go. And continue to bring that down. Cool. So this is all relatively fine for now. This is definitely pushing in the correct direction. We will lose efficiency soon, though. There we go. We're losing efficiency, so we're going to warp to here. Okay, now we can see that we need to drop this off over here. Now, we're definitely not going to have the fuel to go to Brigo. That's absolutely understood. Things got awkward here, but it's okay. I also had an issue in the previous attempt at this episode that I just ended up throwing away because it just wasn't worth watching, where I learned how the parachutes work when you're trying to land over mountains. They work based on not your ground altitude, not your sea level altitude, but they work based on the air density. So now that we know how that works, with this iteration of the vehicle, I don't want to try landing in the mountains, which I did try before to minimize our recovery costs. But for now, we're going to try to land in the seas down over here. So that'll be the idea. So we can see that our closest approach is 9.28 kilometers. This is not a super efficient way to do this rendezvous, that's for sure. But it's okay. We know that we're not going to Brigo orbit as it is. So we're just going to dial this in, and we're just going to land down over here-ish. Okay, losing efficiency, so we're going to have to move a bit forward. That's fine. We'll warp to about here. Cool. 32 meters per second of relative speed at this point is not all that much, but we can see these are pretty far off. So let's just position ourselves here and dial in that approach a bit. So that's 452 meters now, and only 4 meters per second separating us. So I'm wondering where that retrograde node ended up going. There? Okay. Very gentle here, but this is actually going the wrong way now. So we need to take this around to the prograde marker and pull this node off over here a bit. Okay. So that seems relatively fine. Let's just bring that on down. We can see we're starting to overshoot a bit here. So now what I want to do is I want to just lock to the target marker. And we'll just burn towards target a little bit here. Just dialing that right on in. Okay. And we're starting to lose efficiency at this point, so let's pull this out over here a smidge. Get a small correction going. That's good enough. And now we're going to lock to retrograde. So we're not, or that was anti-target. I want to lock to velocity retrograde. So we're not in a position right now where we're having the SAS offset issue that I ran into before. So that's good. I'm not sure what caused that, but whatever. We're going to warp ahead a ways here. I'm going to actually warp ahead a ways further. It's only 23 meters per second, so we don't need to be too concerned about it. Okay, let's commence this burn ever so slightly, but we're only 15 meters per second apart right now. Okay, very gently burning at this moment. It's going back up, sure. And there we go. That should be fine. So we're close enough now. I'm going to hop over to here, and we are going to hop out the crewmen, and they are going to go, I guess this direction works, and we're going to set up a grapple. There we go. And we're going to retract that grapple as slow as possible. But I have found... Oof. I've found that this is very awkward, for sure. Let's just let this get into position here and kill some of that momentum. Okay, we just don't want this to wrap itself around in awkward ways, I discovered. So that's okay. We're just going to slowly retract this tether and offset some of these awkward momentums as they build up. So I do want to be headed this way a little bit. Okay. So we can see we're going to, like, go through here, but the tether is just continuing to shorten. And if we didn't counteract it, we just start going faster and faster like that until we take damage. But that's okay. So we're just going to position ourselves here. And as I said, we need to come down in the water because parachutes are apparently really awkward in this game. So that is understood, or at least the way we have them set up by default is very awkward. So we're going to warp around to here. I'm going to plan a burn around here, and we're going to put that as being about there or so. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute that burn. Ooh, that's that offset that I was talking about. So the wrong part is clearly selected here. Okay. So we're going to hop over to the command disk, and let's see what this burn is looking like. Yeah, it's very awkward, but we managed to get there in the end. We overshot it a bit. Now I want to be in surface retrograde. So we're going to lock velocity retrograde here, and now I want to warp forward until such a time as we hit the atmosphere. Okay. Are we overshooting this? We are. So let's commence this burn right now. Burn off any remaining fuel that we have. I don't know if we survive a land landing. I'm pretty sure we do, as long as it's not in the mountains where the air pressure is much thinner. So there we go. And now we're going to grab this guy, and I want you to be locked velocity retrograde. Thank you very much. There we go. We'll just slowly make our way over there. Cool. That should be good for now. So now what we need to do, of course, is bring this down and land. So let's warp forward a little bit on that, as much as we can anyway. And let's just let this slow on down, and we're going to bring this down kind of close to the Juno village. Like I said, I did try to land us in those mountains previously, and that ended up being just too much. So we're decelerating here. And we just need to get down below 1,000. So I'm going to take us out of warp at this point. And we're at 1,300 right now. Once we're below 1,000, I'm going to activate all of these drogue chutes, which are set to auto-cut, and I will be turning off auto-cut on the drogue chutes later on. But we'll just get all of those drogue chutes activated. That looks good. And let's bring this right on down. So there were definitely lessons learned in the episode I threw away, but there were just way too many bugs going on to the point where I didn't feel comfortable uploading that because I was going to do it again anyway, and I don't feel like you needed to watch all of that. So we're just going to activate this main chute at this point. So that is now armed, and now we're going to head on down to the ground, and hopefully we're not going to go splat on impacting the ground. I don't think we will. So downward we go here. I think we'll be okay. But these drogues auto-cut a little before the main even opens. So we definitely want to do some changes to our chutes here. No doubt about that. So some chute changes will be absolutely necessary. But let's just warp this on down to the ground at this point. So yeah, 63 meters per second at this point. And there we go. Those actually cut simultaneously there. So it probably is set to cut simultaneously at sea level. Or something like that. For the pressure at sea level. Because that all works based on the air pressure. So we're going to have to find what we actually want for that. But as you can see here, this is 13 meters per second. And that is hopefully slow enough for a land landing. We're about to find out. So we're currently at 600 meters up and descending. We're going as fast as we can here. We can't go faster than 2x. But this has definitely taught me a lot of things about how the parachute system works and about what to do if you run into certain bugs, which apparently you just reload the game. So that is a doable thing. Let's bring this down to 1x speed, 12 meters per second. Okay. The heat shield takes damage, but it is indeed safe. Okay, so money awarded, 8 million. How much does this cost to recover? Oh, actually, we get a bonus for recovering it. Cool. So apparently, if you land close enough to the village, you get a bonus. But if you land far away, it's really expensive. So that is good to know. There are no active crafts right now, but there is this active job. So I want to hop in here, and we've got this Brigo orbit mission, and we've got this Drew orbit mission. So we made a lot of money off of that because we got this back in a fairly controlled manner. So that's good to know. That's definitely good to know. Let's go ahead and go into the build mode here, and I want to adjust our parachutes a little bit. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that these do not auto-cut. Okay, I did that previously, and it looks like it saved. Cool. So this is what I changed it to. So the chutes are going to open up a lot higher up, and the drogues are not going to auto-cut. So that should be reasonably okay. Now, I want to boost up how long we have these burns go. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. I want to boost up how long we have these burns going on for. I think this is still a little too high here, isn't it? Maybe not. Okay. So, I want to bring these guys up to here. The question is, what does that put this starting thrust to weight at? 1.24. So that is definitely very, very, very low. We could shift this over from being solid, at least in the center, to being liquid fueled with a big ol' engine. But I'm not so sure that we want to do that. So each of these solid rocket motors are relatively fine here. But what if we did, in fact... 1.24. I'm thinking about maybe increasing the density of them here. So that would mean bringing these in something like this, right? And then these up here, we could have a few additional. So this would be 6x symmetry, and then we would duplicate that like here. And then also like here. I feel like we can fit more in there though. So that would mean these guys would come out here, these would come here, these would come about here. I don't love the positioning of these, but it's fine, I guess. And then we put an additional set of engines here. And an additional set of engines here. Move these in a little bit to be a bit more like this, approximately. And we can get one more set of 6 engines in right here. Like that. So that would boost up our thrust to weight to 1.52. I don't know if this will now burn longer than this or not. So what I'm thinking here is we just extend this up a little bit to somewhere around like 23 meters. 1.48. Okay, we'll do something about like that. So let's put this out on the alley pad. Do we have a crew in this? I don't think we do. I think this is currently empty. Yes, currently empty. So I'm actually going to revert that back, and we are going to slot a Drew in here. We want this to be crewed. So that's fine. So we're going to go in here. There we go. And now we launch this as it is. Okay, so that looks good, and we're going to put this into orbit. What we want to do now is we want to get this up to Brigo orbit. I was intending to do this all in one launch, but we just did not have the DV for that, so that is understood. Off we go. We're going to go into 2X. There we go, and this is going to definitely push us, I think, a little bit further. I want to bring this over to 45 degrees, and of course be in orbital mode. It's a little low frame rate with this many engines, but that's not shocking. Eventually we're going to want to get off of these Goblin engines. There's a lot of them here, and we're going to want to switch over to liquid fuel now that we're making a lot more money. So that's going to be a thing very soon. Looks like our side boosters are still going to burn out first, but not significantly first. Okay, that's definitely noted. Okay, goodbye side boosters. And our main booster is not going to last too awfully much longer. I'm going to bring us all the way over to a 0-degree pitch. It is burnt out at this point, and let's go. So over at a 0-degree pitch, we are just going to burn here, and I want to burn here until our apoapsis is 594 kilometers is the target here. Okay, so we see that the time to apoapsis is currently going down, which is not shocking. Our thrust to weight is working its way up. And we're going to build up our orbital velocity, specifically our lateral velocity here quite a lot, which it's going to start going up now. Wonderful. So that all looks good. We're currently 1.8 minutes to the apoapsis. Maybe we should actually be burning prograde until such a time as our apoapsis is 594. That's probably smarter, to be honest. So we'll just go ahead and do that. We're still mostly getting lateral velocity here. That all looks decent. And we just need to build up quite a lot of orbital speed here. 594 as our periapsis needs to be our target. We're doing both of these in one go. We should be able to get this on our way to Brigo, which is the idea. Okay. So time to apoapsis is currently going down, but slowly. We can see that the prograde marker is heading towards 0 degrees, which isn't shocking, and our orbital velocity is getting up there. So I think we're in a pretty good spot for this here. But yeah, I definitely want to bring our periapsis up to that 594 marker. That is our mission here. So we need about another kilometer per second to get ourselves into orbit. That's fine. And time to apoapsis is going up now. That is a very good sign. I'm going to put us at a 0-degree pitch then and just get lateral speed. I don't care about additional vertical speed. So the apoapsis is currently 250, and we're just pushing that up to 594. That is, of course, going to get faster and faster as our thrust to weight goes up and as we approach orbital velocity. I do want to do some work on this rocket design. We need to just kind of throw it out and start a new rocket design fairly soon. but this is looking reasonably good. We're just taking this up to 594. So let's just dial that in a little bit. 570, 580, 590, and 595. That's good enough. Okay, so now we are going to circularize at the apoapsis. So we're just going to bring that right on out and set the apoapsis to be 594 would be the ideal. So let's turn down this sensitivity now that we're quite close, and 594. Perfect. We'll just auto-execute that burn, and we should probably extend our solar panels as well. Let's go ahead and do that. Cool. And this is all looking good. So there we are in our 594 by 594 orbit. I like it. That'll work just fine. So now we need to set Brigo as our target. And we're going to be heading out there somewhere around here or so. Does that give us a good encounter? It gives us an encounter. Maybe not a good one. That's a little bit better, I think. A little retrograde, maybe. Yeah. Something about, like, this or so would probably be decent. So, now what we need to do is not auto-execute this warp. So, we need to lock to the planned burn. And we need to warp to this burn. But I'm going to manually execute it. Okay. So we're going to commence this burn in about 20 seconds. Let's warp to that a bit. Okay, so about 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. So we're commencing this burn, and now we need to push this up to 1188. So right about there. Now we need to hold it for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. That contract is completed, and we are resuming this burn. Excellent. So I'm just going to manually do this burn until we are finished with it. We may as well fast forward a bit. 2x is the most that we can go, of course. So 20 seconds left in this burn time, and 10 seconds left. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is basically done at this point. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so this is giving us a closest approach here of 670 kilometers, allegedly. So we're going to want to warp up over here. So this is going to be up this way, and then a retrograde. I mean, that's probably fine. So let's just go ahead and warp to here. A retrograde orbit is going to definitely throw us some interesting curveballs. But let's just warp forward until we're within the sphere of influence here. It should be fine. How much DV do we have left right now? 906? Okay. So we're going to need to get our apoapsis below 1982. So we're going to do a planned burn at the periapsis, and it's going to be about like that. Okay. So it needs to be down below 1982. So this isn't too bad in terms of the delta V. So we just want to put it somewhere around here or so. Okay. Go ahead and run it. So we're going to auto burn this. That'll be fine. Excellent. And then that should finish this contract, but we're going to return back since we have a crew member in this. Eccentricity of less than 0.1. Okay. So we're going to do a planned burn at the apoapsis here. We're going to need to circularize this on out. So that's going to be about 40 meters per second. That's not too bad. Okay. Go ahead and do that. Excellent. And there we go. So we've now completed these contracts, but now what we need to do is we need to head home. So sometime around like maybe the even ascending node, or the descending node actually, this is a descending. Sometime around the descending node here, I would like to consider, because we're retrograde, right? Maybe we're not. So sometime around the ascending node. Okay, it's going to be mildly awkward, this return. That's okay. We're not going to get an easy free return. That's fine. So I just want to burn about here then, and we're going to prograde burn until we escape. And we're going to want to have this be about like that or so. We could toss in some radial, but I don't think there's really any point. So we're just going to execute this. And then we're going to work from it here. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so we need to figure out how much delta V we have left to figure out how much we can actually work with here. 541 meters per second. Okay, so let's just warp this around to here. There we go. And we want to make sure that we are in the Drew sphere of influence. There we go. Now, sometime around the periapsis, if we were to bring this down, how much DV will that be? More than what we've got. Okay. So in that case, we're going to have to do a fairly uncontrolled re-entry just due to the amount of DV that we have here, or don't have. So that's fine. We're just going to have to do it here. And just hope that we get this fairly close in to where we're trying to land, which is very near to the village. What's it called? The village pad? Yeah, something like that. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to do this return, and then I think we need to overhaul our crewed rocket. It's very well crewed, and I mean that with the different spelling. It's C-R-U-E, or C-R-U-D-E. There we go. Got there in the end. I tried to have a E in the wrong place, but whatever. It's crude, not crude. Well, it's also crude. It is both crude and crude. This conversation is not confusing at all. But we're going to recover this next episode, and then we are going to, well, hopefully not have to pay too much, but it should be okay. We should make a lot of money out of this, so that looks good. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. That is not the button I'm looking for. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. We got to start this all over, I guess. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time. So, I guess we'll wait for this to finish up. Sure. I'm not sure how far we got through it last time before I changed scenes on us. Exciting. There we go. That'll do.